What is going on, fellow Summit Chasers? And good morning. Kind of good morning for some of you. Some of you are on the East Coast. I know it's 11 a.m. there. But for those of you that are on the West Coast, thank you for getting up. Thank you for hanging out with us at 8 a.m. It's always a pleasure to have everybody here. As usual, we got a lot of people on X. Hello, everybody on X. If you're commenting, sorry, I can't see it. But really happy to have you here today. We're going au natural today. My hair is growing out. I'm going to get a haircut. We got our events. We got our Young Professionals Leadership Summit. How's that for a segue? Haircut into our Young Professionals Leadership Summit. Take a sip of my shop floor coffee. But yeah, we're a week away. Not even a week away. No, we're exactly a week away from our Young Professionals Leadership Summits in October 19th. So a week from this moment. No, wait, a week from 2 hours ago, I'll be on stage introducing the event. So cool. We're so excited about it. But there's still some room if you want to get some tickets, last minute tickets, maybe surprise some of the new leaders on your team, some of the new additions to your team. Get them psyched up, get them excited, get them educated, and get them motivated to become the best that they can be, especially if they're in that leadership role. Very excited about it. So if you want to get your tickets, you can either get in-person or virtual tickets. We're going to be streaming it through our YouTube channel at yplsummit.com. That's yplsummit.com. And if you want to see a rerun from a live that we did with some of the speakers, we did a little panel yesterday. A little live panel yesterday. It was a ton of fun. And there was four of the speakers, and then Rob and myself were on there, and we did a little bit of case studies. We answered some questions, and they got to introduce themselves. So you get to see a little bit of what you're going to see and what you're going to miss out if you don't get your tickets here soon. But very excited about that. One thing to go over really quickly before we get into it, we actually have the man, the myth, the legend today, Mr. Paco Farias. He is going to be he's going to be the individual that is going to be running the 5-day strategy core challenge with me. Ton of experience. Very excited to have him as part of the team in general, let alone him running this challenge with us. But we have the 5-day strategy core challenge. We have one spot left for our October 22nd cohort. Again, we cap it at 10 people because we want this to be very intimate. I've done these challenges before. I've done master classes, mastermind business planning workshops, and this kind of stuff before. There's hundreds of people on there, and sometimes they're free, and they just spout recordings at you, and they don't allow you to customize anything. You don't ask questions. It's just blah. So this is not going to be that. This is going to be very intimate. You're going to be challenging each other, going to be working with each other, other business owners, to create clarity, to create what we call a strategy core that allows you to make clear decisions, especially around where you allocate resources, time. What type of markets are you in? What type of competition are you in? Should you be competing? Or should you be kind of pulling back and setting up your foundation so that you can make a push? You can set your business up for long-term success. But this is how you can build and create clarity around an actual business strategy, not goal planning, not a bunch of motivational phrases, not identifying your enemy. That stuff's fine. If that's what motivates you, cool. But it's not a strategy. This is going to create clarity on where you should be competing, your weaknesses that you should be focusing on, your strengths that you should be leveraging, and how can you leverage them. This is going to be an absolute game changer for your business. So you can go to scngetstarted.com/stratcore challenge, and I'll get Adrena, I think she's here, to throw it in the comments. We'll also put it in the description when we're all done here where you can sign up. Again, we have one spot left for our October 22nd. That's October 22nd to the 26th. It's a Tuesday to a Saturday, Tuesday to Friday. It is from 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. They're going to run about 60 to 90 minutes. The last final day will be Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And if you're somebody who's like, I don't have time, I'm too busy in my business, I'm too blah, 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 it's Q4. That just means it's even more important that you got to do it. If you feel like you're running You're running on a hamster wheel, constantly putting out fires. You're always having to be involved. You got to make the time to do this type of stuff because clarity and focus is going to be an absolute game changer. So again, scngetstarted.com/stratcore challenge. Again, there you go. Adrena, thank you very much. Putting it in the comments, at least on LinkedIn. So really, really appreciate that. But anyways, actually I have one more fun little announcement. So we're going to announce we have a sponsor for this. Well, we have somebody that we're supporting on this channel right now, and that is Shop Floor Coffee. We actually had the owner on here, one of the owners on here, not last week, the week before, and I absolutely love what they are doing. Anything that supports the trades, anything that supports manufacturing, that's construction, machinists, plumber, electricians, all the things that the trades, the professions that make the world go around. If we lost them, oh boy, we would be in a lot of trouble. We would be in a lot of trouble. Silicon Valley would cease to exist because not very many people there know how to fix plumbing issues or know how to fabricate all these amazing things that make the world go around. So we absolutely love what they are doing at Shop Floor Coffee. So they're all about supporting and backing the builders of tomorrow. Again, the machinists, the engineers, welders, and the crafty creators who will rock the industry's world. And again, they make the world go around. So what they do is they don't just sell coffee. I mean, they sell coffee, sure. They sell really good coffee. But every time you purchase something from a Shop Floor Coffee, a portion of that gets funneled into their initiative, which means that it gets funneled into institutions where the future trade professionals are being educated. So it gets funneled into schools and all these types of things so that they can support the future of the trades, of the industries. And those are extremely valuable professions and careers. They're amazing professions and careers. Everyone, and I say this all the time, and it always seems like I'm shitting on MBAs. MBAs are great, but that's not the only path. It's not the only path. You can go to a trade school for welding or machinists or for plumbing or whatever it is, and you can literally get paid while you're going to school and get paid really well. Come out of your 2 to 4 year program way ahead as far as money is concerned, as far as your finances are concerned, and you can get into a small or medium-sized business, and you can learn more about business that way, tangibly, tactically, hands-on, than you'll learn in school. And it's just true. It's just the way it is. At least like boots on the ground. So, and exactly, and you get paid well, Kevin. Thank you you get paid pretty well. The high school that I went to, we were a composite high school. So we had an actual, like we had like mechanics and we had welding and that kind of stuff. And a lot of the individuals, they had like welding competitions. And even if you placed 10th in some of these welding competitions, you get picked up by some shops, and the shops would pay your way through trade school. So you could get your journeyman as you're getting paid, and you're getting paid like 20. And this was 2006. You were getting paid like $25 an hour as a first or second year. And then they pay for you to go to school. Crazy. But yeah, let's go $200,000 in debt. That's wild to me. But anyways, appreciate you jumping in, Kevin. All right. We're going to talk about something. I don't know if it's controversial. It's going to be, you know what? We're going to make it controversial. And Adrena just got scared when I said that. We're not going to make it too controversial, but we're going to talk about something today. And we're going to talk about it with a good friend of mine. Again, it's somebody who's on the team, Summit Chasers team. He's going to be the guy running the strategy court challenge with me. I'm going to wait till he's done taking a drink. I just saw it. There he is. All right, we're good to go. But I want to introduce Paco really quickly. And we're going to talk through some stuff. We're going to talk through some stuff today. And stuff that has been talked about before, but obviously a lot of you have seen some of the announcements that came out, especially Elon Musk and the Tesla and his Optimus robots and all this kind of stuff. We're gonna compare what is actually happening to what Hollywood and what our imaginations once thought was going to happen. So I'm waiting for him. He's fixing his hair. Okay, here he is. I'm going to introduce Mr. Paco to the stage. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I cannot fix my hair anyway, so that's good.
You look great. You look great, brother. Actually, no, Kevin, sorry, really quickly, Kevin made a good point. A lot of MBs have zero clue how their plumbing is repaired, installed, how their car runs. You get a job for life. You'll never not have a job. Absolutely. And that's a really good point, actually, to make. Because I know a lot of, too many probably, individuals with MBAs, wherever they got them, I don't know, that they laid off or whatever it is, and they struggle to find a job. If you know how to, if you have even a third year, I don't know if it's a plumbing degree, or if you're in your third year, plumber, welding, tradesman, you'd have a job 3 months ago. You're turning down jobs. Like, you'll have a job for life. Absolutely. Just got to be willing to put in a little bit of work, get some dirt under the nails, so to speak. But anyways, Paco, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing awesome. Looking forward to this conversation, my good man.
Are you sure?
I'm ready to rumble.
One of the topics that I had brought up this morning, Adriana was nervous about. So I'm excited to talk about that one. So there's no need to be nervous. I don't think, anyways. We'll see. We'll see. But there's a lot going on. There's a lot of advancements. It seemed like the last 2, 3, when did 2021, 22? Since then, last few years, things have been moving so fast. And it's funny, you see these like breaking points, and there's a bunch of them throughout history. And you can kind of see, like, there's pressure that builds up behind a dam. The dam breaks, then all of a sudden things are just moving at a breakneck pace, right? It's just now the pace that we are accustomed to is faster. So now what seems fast now is like light speed. But did you watch the announcement, like Elon Musk's announcement? Yeah. What did you think?
Everything in all detail and multiple replays.
It was. It was hard. Like, when you're watching, I was watching the robot, the Optimus robot stuff, and it's like because we grew up watching like Star Wars and iRobot and all these kind of stuff, and you watch that, it's almost hard for my brain to look at it as in this is real life.
Yeah.
Oh, did I freeze in my back? I should be back now. But yeah, it's hard for my brain to conceptualize.
What's fascinating of this is there's a lot of books that talk about this. We have access to unlimited imagination. That's, in my opinion, if not the biggest gift, I do believe it's the biggest gift that we have, which is unlimited imagination. So think about it. Jules Verne or whomever, even way back, into the Iranians and Zoroaster and all that stuff. When you really look into how people have gone through and imagining things, most of the stuff that we're doing now, in one way or the other, has been thought of or dreamt of or whatever by many generations behind. What's happening now is we're getting at that tipping point where multiple technologies are converging into a specific thing. That's why Musk calls it the ultimate product. It's because, and I was talking to my wife about it yesterday, imagine your Optimus robot or whatever robot you want, where the marketplace is going to be like the Matrix, which is, I want my robot to learn jiu-jitsu. So I will have to pay for it in the robot marketplace, right? I want the robot to learn how to speak Portuguese, so or whatever. Or maybe it's a robot as a service, where you would be paying for the thing to have unlimited access. So just think about it for a second. Now, are we there? No. There's a lot of debate on how real the interaction of the Optimus robot was with people, if they were humans behind or not, how much were they doing XAI LLM versus not. So we can decide to trust whatever we want. What is real is there were actual robots walking with people. Now, I don't know if people remember, but I think it's General Dynamics. These guys have robots that can do backflips, that can do all sorts of crazy stuff. So they are much more advanced on their robotics that we even know. right? So robotics is moving at a crazy pace. I truly believe a lot of companies are keeping it on they're laying low because of the psychological impact that this is going to take on society. It's too much for people to understand that those things are going to be much better than us. So yes, we're getting there.
I saw a comparison between those General Dynamics and at Tesla, and he was saying that their focus was a lot different with the Optimus. They wanted much more fine tuned. They wanted they focused a lot more on the hands. They focused a lot more on like understanding like pressure and that type of stuff. Where at General Dynamics, like it's almost like it's like power. They're a lot more
military, industrial.
Military-esque. Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but there we go. Fuck it, we're going into it. Yeah. They're focusing a lot more on like it's like you can tell like what movies that they watched. Like they watch like Chappie and all these kind of things.
Yeah. Did you watch the Black Mirror episode where those evil robots that had guns on them are killing people? Yeah. Like, oh, so that was very oddly similar to one of those Dynamics robots. And like, oh, okay.
That's the ones that they're like. There's a good little. It's kind of an independent-ish film on Netflix. It's called Code 8.
Yes,
and you've seen it. Yeah, so those that haven't, go watch. It's a pretty good movie. It's well done for the budget and that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's about like I think like 4% of the human population is born with like superpowers and that kind of thing, and they were kind of segregated as seen as less than sort of thing, which is crazy. So the police forces, they created these robots to counteract and control them a little bit more. And in the newest one, so there's 2 of them in the second Code 8, they have these little dogs that they use instead of like the robots like with the guns and that kind of stuff. And they look a lot like, I was like, you guys were watching some of the General Dynamics, like their little dog robots that they have, like that looks a lot like them. So I can tell what movies that they're watching based on how they're designing some of this stuff.
That's exactly the point. Where it all merges together in terms of saying, is that really your idea? Are you getting inspired by it? One of the craziest paradoxes that always gets me thinking is someone wrote about it, and because they already wrote it, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that is going to happen. So are they? How did that person come? I mean, it just gets into this, crazy.
Yeah. Now, well, there's a lot to unpack with that. Like somebody thought of it. Wait, what was the guy, the Scientology? What was his name? Ron Hubbard. Yeah. Like individuals like him who wrote the books a long time ago. Like we use those as anchor points, as like what the future is supposed to look like innately, or at least, and then that's what our brains kind of imagine it. So it's interesting to think like now we're going down a whole other path, like aliens. Like they would have, like we always assume that their technology, how they would evolve, would be similar to us, but they would have they have a different Ron Hubbard that wrote a different book, who they have a different anchor point, so their technology could look completely different. They may not have had the pivotal moments where it took them away from steam, because a lot of our technology was steam powered to start, and then the combustion engine and that kind of stuff was developed, and it took us away from that. But what if that wasn't developed and we went down the steam, like the steampunk? Things would look drastically different.
The first cars were electric, right?
Yeah, so that's right. Yeah,
we could have gone that path. So I tell you, just fascinating how all of these things are converging.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we're going to talk about something today. All right, and we're going to start off with something that's everybody's been talking about. It's obvious, and ever since AI came out. But is shit about to hit the fan? Is it about to hit the fan? Let's talk about that. So the first scenario is, again, everybody's been talking about this. Right when AI was even thought of, it was a part of the imagination. People were like, okay, hello, Terminator. All right. So we have our AI-powered chatbots right now. And now we have the Optimus, and we have cars that self-driving, like your office on wheels, that we always seem to have conversations in, which is totally fine. But how close are we to, like, really, like how close are we to like a Skynet, like this singularity thing that could control everything? Well, how close are we?
Well, number one, the big disclaimer is I am a big fan of all of this stuff. I read a lot, but I'm not an expert. So let's just start with that disclaimer, right? I'm just
Oh,
gonna.
we're not experts at all. This is just opinion.
But the point, though, and the reason I'm saying that too, is because a lot of people claim that they are experts. They're not. It's such a complex topic where there's multiple sub-disciplines where people can really have an expert opinion on. But in reality, it's multiple technologies converging. So are we close to shit hitting the fan or not? My point of view is I decide to be an optimist. So in my view of optimism, what that takes me to is that hopefully these technologies will continue to converge to a point, and hopefully we humans are smart enough that we put enough guardrails around where even when we create super intelligence or artificial general intelligence, that is just going to help us, get to prosperity. What is fascinating, though, if you look at many different places when they're writing that we believe that we know when it's going to hit AGI, but the point is we're not. And when it hits AGI, it's going to go this way. Well, maybe. The complication is, if you really think about most AI agents and most things, they are very smart on one thing, one small nuanced thing: playing chess, beating humans at the game Go, driving, whatever, right? But then the beauty of the human brain is that it's multidisciplinary to the extreme, to the infinite. So do we really think that you can converge all of those specialist disciplines into a massive, all-knowing, all-powerful AI that can fully equal a human brain? Maybe. I mean, of course, the other way of thinking about it is our biological brain is the way to go anyways, which is, because it's self-replicating, we self-replicate the species, all of those things. So maybe we are robots, we're just biological robots. And maybe that's where we're heading into, which is, what we already know, that the ultimate storage machine is the brain, and it's the neurons. So anyways, what I'm trying to get into is, I don't know, man. I don't think so. I don't think we're there at all. I think we're advancing, but AI in some points is extremely smart, but in a lot of others is extremely dumb, and it's still hallucinating all the time. I love playing with AI to get to where it hallucinates, but it's very dangerous. Is that nowadays I see so many candidates and so many business owners and so many people really leveraging ChatGPT or any of the others, LLMs, which is good. The problem is when they're overly trusting it to be the authority and not trusting but verifying. You would be extremely surprised on how the AI is portraying with very high confidence that they have very high results or very trustable results. And in reality, what happens is it's gathering results from all around the internet, where we all know that it's full of opinions and not a lot of science. So the problem is the data sets where a lot of these AIs are being trained are flawed by design. So, so that's where it gets fascinating, because you can get a lot of these AIs super smart or whatever. Yes, but again, on very particular use cases and on very particular scenarios. Where I'm going to start to get more concerned is when they really plug in, if at any point they really plug in AIs to the military. If they one day decide, which I think would be extremely stupid, sorry about the word, but if they decide one day that it's a good idea to have an AI or even to connect to the cloud all of the nuclear codes of a country, that's when it's like, oh, right now it's all analog, right? It has, in my opinion, it has to stay analog forever. Those type of things, you just cannot trust anything because you can hack it. So there are certain places where it would be extremely stupid from us as humans to get to that point. But right now, there's no Skynet, in my opinion. We're not close at all. Again, because I'm an optimist and I'm a early adopter of crazy technologies. I have been in very active, very direct discussions with a bunch of folks around, for example, if some of the car makers like Tesla and others are getting to a level that I can trust self-driving. You know this. You already said that I have my option with. I'm an early adopter. I love it. I use it all the time. I know that there's some risk, but I'm an early adopter. But there's a lot of other people who don't believe they're safe, who don't believe they're good, and I respect them too. So I don't know, man. I don't think we're shit's hitting the fan yet. I do believe that we are being collectively stupid as humans, believing that that AI is super smart and has the truth. It doesn't.
Yeah.
You have to verify it. Does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense. My concern comes in with, like, if you look at history, like you always can look at history and you can find trends. You can identify certain threats. Those threats will just look different. They have different tools at their disposal. Like, there's, unfortunately, where I lose my faith is that there's not going to be another Genghis Khan, that there's not going to be another Hitler, that there's not going to be another X, Y, and Z. It only takes one. Like, if you really look at the history of how Hitler came into power, it was really one dude who weaseled his way into the top to manipulate an entire nation, right? And obviously there's a lot of ideologies that had to and a lot of, like, the Treaty of Versailles and all these types of things. There's a lot that had to happen in order for him to have the leverage to take the power. There's a lot that had to happen. There's tons. I get that. However, it doesn't negate the fact that it is possible. And it only takes that one. It takes that one group. It takes that one extremist individual to empower a group of fucking tech nerds to create who knows what. Right. So it's.
Well, you're right. You're right. I'm reading the latest book. I'm hearing the latest book, and I'll tell you in 10 seconds, from Yuval Noah Harari, the guy that wrote Sapiens and Homo Deus. It's called Nexus. And what he's saying, and again, he's also controversial, so I don't want to, by the way, I read everything on the left and everything on the right and everything in between, because I want to get smart. And that's one of the other dangers of AI, if you just go and feed it with too much left or too much right. Anyways, what I'm getting into is on this Nexus book, one of the things that he says that he's very scared is what you were saying, which is people creating AI dictators. Because they are going to be the ultimate manipulators, because they know how to crack our manipulation is, we are highly manipulable. I mean, they're all of the dictators through Genghis. I mean, from the beginning of ages, they follow exactly the same protocol. We haven't evolved as humans that much, so they follow exactly the same protocol. Well, imagine an AI that you feed all of that crap into it. Absolutely, it could be the ultimate super Hitler, Genghis Khan, Mao Zedong, and all of those others at the same time. Damn, that's going to be very complicated, because that can feed the news channels, and that can feed and get people. I mean, that's what's happening right now, by the way. If people don't understand that, if you only read or listen to specific news or specific news sources, you're going to become, even if you don't want to, you're going to slowly go towards, again, the left or the right or the upper and the bottom or whatever you want. But it's very easy to fall into that trap. And the AI manipulators are going exponential. So yes, I agree with you. If some evil person wants to get some tech nerds that are, following to their AI overlord, that's very complicated. I agree. It's hard.
That's my biggest concern. I mean, it's always going to be people. It's not, and then there's the how they utilize the tools that they have at their disposal, and if they have the more and more powerful tools that they have. And you're right though, like people we're so easily manipulated, and we don't even know it, right? Like it is ridiculous. Rahit's looking for a job. Great, we're gonna have to teach you how to look for a job better than that. But anyways, yeah, it's insane. But I want to move on because we have some fun. There's a little bit more lighthearted, right? We just talked about taking over the world and all this kind of fun stuff. We're going to talk about maybe the specifics, more specific things that we'll probably get to before Skynet, which is, I know that they just came out with the self-driving whatever, but are they going to have a friendly looking individual taxi driver in the front who's going to talk to you and make you feel like you're talking to a person? This is from Total Recall. So I can't, when did that come out? 90, 88, 89, something like that.
Yeah.
But they had the self-driving cars, but they took it another direction, and they had the robot that was driving it for them, right? But how close are we to like taxi drive, like self-driving vehicles that you scan your code and you get in and they take you wherever you want to go?
Well, what is fascinating, Zach, is that's the RoboVan that they call it.
Yeah.
RoboVan. You know, as a Mexican trying to pronounce V and B is very difficult for me. Like RoboVan or RoboVan. Anyways, that thing. Think about it for a second, okay? We trust more a human that we don't know if that human drank the last day, if their health is at the right stage, if they have, the right prescription for their glasses, if they have blood pressure issues. We just trust that person with our lives more than an AI. Now, I understand why. It's because we don't trust the AI. We don't know what it is. So humans, we just don't trust whatever is, difficult to understand or we don't comprehend. So could we get a nice mannequin or a robot or an Optimus or whatever? Some people say Optimus is creepy. I love it, but I agree. It is kind of creepy cool, but looking at like a mirror in front of you.
Not used to it yet. Yeah, we're just not used to it.
Can I read what the hell? Who is there? Anyways, so could we have some sort of a humanoid there to help us get past that? For example, one way that they could use, as you said, is even faking that the thing is driving something, and we all know that it's not driving. It can create enough of a psychological safety effect that some people could say, oh, yeah, okay, that thing is driving, that's fine. Does that make sense? Yeah. Even what they're doing with a lot of these technologies at the moment, they're having a human in there. Several of them are doing the testing with a human in there just to avoid any issue. Makes sense. But several of them are actually doing it with a human in there so that other humans trust that the thing is supervised by a human. So yeah, I don't see a problem with having, that mannequin is too creepy. It looks a little bit, it looks like animal, Damn. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight, man.
Yeah, that movie was well before its time. Total Recall, well before its time. But then there's the counter argument to the, that person could be drinking, they could be hungover, they could have, they have psychological issues, whatever it is. But what about then there's the other side of that, which is you have some eagle in the sky, individuals or corporation or whatever group that can control all your vehicles now.
Yeah.
Like there's a movie that like it convinced me to never get a Tesla. Sorry, I'm probably not until like I'm forced to. And even then I'm sticking with my Jeeps. But I forget what it was called. It has
the end of the world or something.
Where they took this cyber attack and they clogged all the freeways with Teslas because they controlled the Teslas and just crashed them into each other. So they clogged up all the freeways. I watched that and I was like, yeah, I'm sticking with my analog thing. But like what's the argument there?
It could happen, yes. I have a friend that works at Tesla, and that tells me a little bit about how closed their systems is. One of the reasons their ecosystem is closed, which means that's why you don't have Apple Car in there or any of those things, is because of cybersecurity. Now, are they 100% safe and 100% hacker proof? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. That movie was, by the way, bankrolled by the Obamas and a few others. So there's some political reasons.
There's a political agenda there. Yeah, I get it.
It's a cool movie. But my point is, I agree with you. Yes, one weird actor can decide one day to do that. In my opinion, that actor probably will go more for the airplane infrastructure, the airports, energy infrastructure, and many other things before.
Don't give him too many ideas, Paco. Come on.
But my point is, I agree with you. Yes, of course. There will always be good actors and bad actors. We also overestimate a little bit sometimes what hackers can actually do. So, for example, when Anonymous goes there and posts that they're going to do something, yeah, they can do some stuff. But, when people are saying, oh, they're going to cripple the whole infrastructure, the whole country, that's actually not true.
Yeah.
I tell you because I worked in the energy industry and I worked on a specific company where they were starting to think through how to connect the power infrastructure to the cloud. Mm-hmm. So I know that for a fact. And I can tell you, one of the fun parts of it is that our infrastructure is highly analog. It's on premise, which means no cloud, no nothing. And one of the main reasons is because of what you're saying. It's like people are like, you know what? I'm not gonna. And funny enough, in those power plants and whatever, people still fall under the, social phishing and all those techniques, social engineering techniques, where some bad actor throws a bunch of USB sticks. Yeah. And some random employee like, oh, look at this USB stick. Let me put it into a computer. And that's how a lot of those viruses can have gone into some of the airplanes and other things. So humans are going to be super smart and super dumb. There will always be both sides. Yes, people can hack into stuff. Yes, we just have to decide where we want to be on that curve and just be okay with the other humans being on the other one and helping each other to try to reach a medium, right, or a center.
Yeah, whatever direction we go, like we're choosing we're choosing the consequences. We're not just choosing, the perks and that kind of stuff. We're also choosing what kind of consequences that we're willing to deal with as well. But it's not like the movies; they make it seem so easy. Like somebody sneaks into a super secure place and they download something on a little disk thing, and then they plug it into their MacBook, and then all of a sudden they can control what sounds your car makes. Like it's not. This is not exactly how it works. Although the thought of it, the fact that it technically is possible is scary. But again, how realistic is it that it'll actually happen? Who knows? All right. So this is the controversial one. Adrena was like, I don't think you should. So sex robots, huh?
Yeah.
So Ex Machina, one of the best like scripted acted movies ever. I can't remember her name, but that was like her breakout role. She absolutely crushed it, and then I think she went on to play Laura Croft. Yeah, I can't remember her name, but she absolutely crushed it. But it's this idea of these hyper, I want to say sexualized, but these hyper, almost like manipulative and seductive AIs and robots. I guess they're not technically robots. She was an android, I think. But anyways, and being able to like completely manipulate like literally mankind and get us to do whatever we want. Because remember, she manipulated both of them, and one of them, she killed the other one, and then the other one, she was able to manipulate him. He thought that they were like in love, and then she ended up locking him in the facility forever, and then ended up escaping and living her life, whatever that looks like for a robot.
You made me Google right now the difference between an android and a robot. And an android is a type of robot that is designed to look and behave like a human.
Yeah, so she's an Android then. Yeah. Yeah.
Android.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's at that point we're getting into like the kind of the Android sort of thing. Because I mean, if I don't know, if those of you that are on a phone, it's pretty hard to see, but they're trying to make him look as lifelike as possible. And also, you couldn't have picked like he looks like if I was like the picture without seeing his picture and the picture like the guy that invented sex robots, I probably would have pictured him. Like it wouldn't have been that far off. But I'm gonna stop talking now before my foot goes in my mouth. But what are your thoughts?
Well, this is extremely fascinating for a bunch of reasons. So let's start with one, and then we'll keep going. So one lady that has a very large social media following, had a large OnlyFans following, and a bunch of other things. One tech company recorded thousands of hours of her voice to train a model so that she could become a living chatbot. So you were talking to a chatbot, sending messages, sending voice messages. The chatbot replied to you, sending live messages with her voice. What happened was, and by the way, I tested it because I am a tester of everything. So I was like, you know what? I told my wife, by the way,
It's very honest of you.
Let me talk to this lady. Let's see what, because I want to see what's out there. I want to understand. Yeah. And then anyways, so you start and you say, hey, how you doing? And she's like, hey, how you doing? And like, okay, well, there's okay. And then interestingly enough, they had to stop it a little bit because of course, the average dude that, by the way, she made hundreds of thousands of dollars like in hours because everybody wanted to do. So anyways, people got it to get sexual pretty quickly. They got past it because they purposely put some guardrails so that whenever wanted to get sexual, they stopped it, right? And they found a way to get past that through asking, that people can hack LLMs, right? So they hacked it and it got sexual quickly. So they had to stop it and they had to put more guardrails and blah, blah, blah. So that's one thing that it's already out there and it's working to a point. The other one is, I was talking to a friend of mine, a relative of us. He went into this business that I think they're an incredible business model where they have a shared services center, and you call that shared services center to help you. They call it a command center, and an AI voice picked up the phone. And I called because I wanted to engage into our service. This AI voice, it was the most natural AI voice I ever heard. I knew it was an AI because I'm a geek, but it was extremely, it was passing the Turing test like very quickly. And it's funny because only after the second engagement, it's like, hey, how you doing? What are you calling about? Hey, I would like to get a new service. Okay, good. Instead of the typical,
What
are you saying? And no, it's like, instead of, it sounds like, no, it was a natural conversation. No problem, I'll help you out. And then it said, by the way, I am an AI powered assistant. I was trying to see when they were going to do the reveal. So the thing worked perfectly to a point though, because then a human called me afterwards and they were like, hey, I'm sorry, the AI picked up. I don't know. They were a little bit like, they didn't know they kind of let it into the wild and they didn't know if it was going to behave or something. And the person is, the AI interprets your last name like this. Is this your last name? No, it's this. Okay, well, it still is not that smart. And I told him, well, let me tell you though, it was very, very good. So you're getting somewhere. So, and then it takes us to the next point, which is, so we're talking about the conversation. We're talking about engagement. You get all of those things into a robot or Android, right? Or mannequin with some extra stuff that can talk to you.
Yeah.
What is extremely disturbing is that if you're starting to see the tendencies of young adults in the Western world who are just not, I'm sorry for the word, mating. They're just not having children. They're just not. Uh, they're just not. And just look at the declining birth rates, right, that are happening. And you add the sex robots, that, by the way, that thing is going to do whatever you want forever. It can get very complicated very quickly, like extinction level stuff.
I know. I just love how politically correct that was. Individuals that aren't mating, yeah. So they're not appealing to the opposite sex or whatever you're into. But yeah, that's super interesting. Also, like to your earlier point, to bring it back, AI, it's not going to. It's a ways off, anyways. Being like all encompassing to where it can mimic. And even then, I don't think it'll necessarily mimic a brain, because the way it's going to learn, as we talked about, that's why I brought up aliens earlier. The way they interpret the world, the way that they learn, the way they perceive things is going to be different. AI isn't going to be no different. Like it initially had trouble picking up words on pictures. Like it had a hard time creating words in pictures, and it had, and we thought like, oh, it's stupid. Like no, it's never seen it before. Like it's something that's learning from a completely different lens, right? But in this case, it's easily becoming a master at something that's very easily manipulated and very narrow in the human race, particularly the male race.
Yes.
Race, the male gender, whatever.
Category.
Whatever. Fucking yeah. Anyways, not talking about that. It's just a very easily manipulated aspect. 100%. And it's very narrow. Like you said, it took this one woman, it took however many hundreds of hours of her voice, her talking, her saying things, her interacting, and it's already able to manipulate individuals that can't mate, to your point, into having these sexual interactions. Like it's crazy how, like again, we will go back to how like close to monkeys that we really are still. Like we're not that evolved, and how it can like manipulate that aspect so easily. So if it was to use that as kind of a base, a manipulative base, a foundation, like there's so much now it can do from there fairly simply and learn from that fairly simply. Like it's an interesting kind of starting point for it to start to manipulate us.
Man, I mean, the movie here is great because Joaquin Phoenix,
yeah.
Gets in love with an AI assistant, which, by the way, is funny. It's Scarlett Johansson, but then the OpenAI got in trouble because they wanted, apparently, the voice that they were using for their ChatGPT voice version was very similar to your Scarlett Johansson. Anyways, and that's why Scarlett Johansson now became one of the top AI voices in Time magazine, which is just like, okay. Anyway, so the point here is, yes, manipulation. I go back to the previous point. We humans are extremely easy to manipulate. All of us. We're just. And what is happening, I agree with you, AI can become such an easy manipulation machine because it doesn't have feelings. Feelings without judgment. It doesn't have feelings. So it's absolutely, zeros or ones. And that's why we have to start getting smarter on what are our thresholds of trusting these technologies. I'll give you another example. I am, part of my expertise is on the HR and recruiting side, right? I think we don't no longer need sourcers, which is kind of the beginning part of the recruiting chain, which is a human that is looking at resumes and looking to it. I know this is very controversial because a lot of people want to be job preservers, but I just don't think we need sourcers anymore. Think about it. You click one button in LinkedIn, one button in many of the other technologies there, and it gives you 70, 100, 200, 1,000 qualified resumes.
Yeah.
Like this, instead of a human trying to hunt for it for a day. And maybe it will take them 5 weeks to get to what an AI did in 10 seconds. Why am I getting there though? Is because I'm starting to see some creepy technologies pretty quickly now, where you have an AI avatar speaking, interviewing you to conduct the first part of an interview process, which normally is the intake, where they ask you a few questions just to make sure that you get some initial points. That is extremely creepy. Because you could have done that questionnaire and person just put it in there. They are doing it for some reasons. I think that's a terrible use case to try to get to a similar point to what you were saying of the creepy doll that is in front of the car to show that AI can be friendly. I think this is extremely the opposite, because it's creating, this thing moving like this, talking to you. Some of them can be actually quite believable, but it's still not a human. And they're portraying that they're a human speaking to you, interviewing you. I don't know, man. That is hard. Someone is saying that the signal is gone. Hopefully we're back. Anyways, what I'm getting into is that can get super creepy very quickly. I saw a couple of people putting their technology in LinkedIn saying, look at our great technology. And I go, sorry, it's creepy. But maybe that's the future. I don't know, right? But here's where all of this conversation is taking us, which is mating or not mating, but also conversations, not conversations, is are we getting to a point where we're creating a new species that is called, I don't know, Homo AI or whatever, AI sapiens or whatever that is, Android sapiens, or I don't know. But, one of the things that are we going to be able to basically substitute most of what is the magic of being a human that literally took us away from being a normal animal, which is socializing? And are we going to get to a point where you're going to feel more comfortable just talking to your Optimus, to your pet dog, your pet rat, whatever that is, and all of those are robotic, and you're just going to have chats with your robotic friends, your AI friends, and you're just going to talk to yourself. So, one of the things that, and again, I'm not defending Elon Musk. I think he's an idiot in some points, but he's genius in others. So it's we have to look at things on the nuances. But one of the reasons he got away from some of the one of Google's co-founders is because that person called him a speciesist, which is, you are defending too much the human race. You have to understand that AI is going to take over. Those are the individuals, including Sam Altman and including many others, in my opinion, by the way, that's my opinion, that are preferring to think that technology should take over instead of humans to continue to control the technology. That's where it gets very scary, because it connects the dots of saying, if the people that are at the reins of some of those companies are just doing it because of they truly do not believe in the future of the species of humans, of course, you're going to get all these sex robots, all of these recruiters, all of these business advisors, consultants. By the way, now there's a bunch of AI business chatbots that tell you that they can help you with your strategy. And the only thing they're doing is they're just random dude putting together a specific chatbot using ChatGPT, and they're ingesting only business books or whatever, and this chatbot is just regurgitating to you the advice. So am I a speciesist? Absolutely yes. Do I believe in the beauty of the human brain and the beauty of human intelligence and the beauty of imagination? Absolutely. Do I believe that all technology should help us to augment our capability? Yes. Hopefully it's not to substitute us, because we're screwed.
Well, that's the thing, is that it only knows what's already known. And it can only know, at least for right now, at least for the foreseeable future, it can only know what's already known. So creating something new to, the identifying white spaces and being a visionary, it can't do that critical thinking. It can't do that. So it can take information and organize it. It can't take information and create a new outcome out of it, right? Like 1 + 1 is always 2. It'll never figure out how you can make 1 + 1 = 3 in a lot of cases, right? And that's which I know, yeah, we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, it's definitely. I don't think it'll ever take away our humanity or substitute our humanity and our ability to create. But I think if we use it right, I think what it will do is make it a lot easier for us to create, because it'll take care of a lot of the mundane, like data sorting and that kind of stuff. Like that's really what it should do. But again, you never know. There's so many, as you're saying, I'm like, well, what if this happened? Like that could happen. Like if we went this direction, this could happen. But I think that we're, as far as all these catastrophic things actually happening, we're a ways away from that. We're not a ways away, though, from a bunch of individuals who can't get laid, get stuck on their phones talking to a Scarlett Johansson sounding avatar AI bot. But again, that's like they're picking on like the lowest. That's like the lowest hanging fruit for them to like, for AI to like take over. That's like the easiest, like the monkiest part of our brain.
And look, I'm okay with that. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's up to them, whatever they want to do. Again, the only problem is if that becomes the prevalent thing, we're in big trouble as a species, because we're just not going to mate. We're not going to have kids. There's not going to be humankind unless we get to the crazy part, which is we upload our consciousness to the cloud, which, by the way, kind of can happen now to a point. There's a bunch of creepy AIs now that if you allow them, they can parse all of your social media activity, and they can create an avatar of yourself, and you can have a conversation with it. So it's kind of, decent.
There's a Black Mirror episode about that too.
Yeah, and I love it because it tells you how flawed that is. How can you think that you can replicate thousands of days with just minutes of data on social media, which, by the way, social media appearances tend to be fake.
Oh, they're all fake.
Tend to be, kind of a beautiful portion of reality. That's not the nuances of who we are as humans. So you're not going to be able to replicate that, at least today, with the big data ingestion, all that stuff we'll see. But, we're not there yet. I don't think so.
No, we got a ways to go. But if we didn't freak everybody out, and I'm glad that you're here. I hope you have a stress-free weekend. No, this is great. It's a lot of fun to kind of break it down. But there's always, it's fun to see kind of the nuances between like what's happened in history, our own human tendencies, biases, our own minds, and that kind of stuff, and then how this artificial intelligence and these things that we've put on these pedestals, a lot of it is because of science fiction, how it all kind of plays together. It's super, super interesting. So I appreciate you jumping on with me, my friend. Last minute.
You know that I'm here to help. I have a lot of fun always talking to you and to the audience. We're here to help each other and learn with each other. And if there's one thing that I want the audience to take with them, it's just give yourself the chance to experiment a little bit. Don't just trust what you read of those things. Experiment yourself. I'm not saying experiment with the sex robot. That's up to you. But what I'm saying is experiment with ChatGPT. Use it a little bit just to understand. It can augment you, and it can really help you be a much faster professional. Just be careful that it's not substituting your critical thinking. Always trust but verify, right? But you have to start, because it's happening. We're not going to stop it. And, that's why people are saying that the best professionals in the future are just going to be good prompt engineers, which means individuals that actually know how to interact with the large language models, because those are going to be the ones that are going to be able to produce the fastest output to what you need, right?
Yeah, no, always flexing your critical thinking ability, because that's quick to go as the world changes. It's quick to go if you don't use it, and you can already see that it's getting separated from a lot of people already. Their ability to critical think, their ability to make decisions based on all the data and all the information, and putting your biases aside to go seek out all the relevant data and information that you need to in order to make the best decision. We're seeing that be hampered greatly right now.
Yes, sir.
Really quickly before we go, here he is, Paco. We have our 5-day strategy core challenge coming up on the 22nd of October. We got 1 spot left, as we said at the beginning of the show, 5 spots left for our November 19th cohort. So again, go to, if you scroll up in some of the comments, if you're on LinkedIn, sengetStarted.com/stratcore challenge, get signed up. These first few are going to be the best ones to jump into because they are going to be at a special rate, because we appreciate you guys jumping in early on this and helping us, giving us feedback, and allowing us to perfect this challenge that we're so excited about. Get a lot of value, give us the feedback, and walk away with this with a strategy core with a very clear path on where your business needs to go, the resources that you need to invest in, where you need to put your time, and again, set yourself up for long-term success. We're very excited about that. So again, sengetStarted.com/stratcore challenge. Paco, any last words?
Well, I used AI for that picture. So we can have a good conversation to see if that was an augmentation or a degradation. So feel free to shoot me up on LinkedIn to see what you think. But that's one use case, right? That can help you. Now, jokes aside, I'm very excited about this challenge. As Zach says, I'm deeply grateful that we can be together in helping out and partnering and learning with all of you on this. That's our intention. Our big intention is to be of service and helping you all on this. Jump right in. You're going to see it's an incredible rate and incredible value, because we're all going to learn together and we're going to raise ourselves. And you can earn, you can make one of the best things that you can make so fast, which is community and network. We all humans, in average, we hate networking. We think you're not going to go to a convention and just going to, no. You're going to be on a very curated group of individuals, all of you talking to each other, smaller cohort, learning together, focused. That's not very common. So go for it. We're very excited about it.
I got nothing to add to that. But again, thank you everybody for sticking with us in this amazing episode of the Summit Coffee Club. And until next time, everybody, keep chasing your next summit.